his leg up bad. That looked really bad. That's why I was like, I hope that's.
All right, I think we're back. I believe we should be back. Give me a moment here. Let me double check a couple of things.
Gotta retest, test, and test again.
No, that's not the one I want. Why does it keep trying to pull up the wrong one?
You're not the video I want, not the video I want, no.
Heavy saying, oh, so I don't know.
Technical difficulties, people. Please stand by. Please stand by.
Because, I mean, now you're saying that.
Funny world as we try to do this thing in live for the first time ever. We should have known there would have been issues. This looks like we are back live. No, because it keeps taking me back to the old video from 19 minutes ago. I want the new video. Sorry about the technical difficulties here. Let us work out these little technicalities and we will see what's going on here. So he has us live. I have us live, so we're good. Anyways, back to the Angelo Dawkins, or the Street Profits, Andrade and Angel Garza match. At the end of the day,
Street Profits retain the Raw Tag Team titles. That's really all you gotta know on this sleeper match.
And I'm going to put our beautiful faces back up here so people can be happy. Anyways, yeah, the Street Profits win. It is what it is. Whether we like it, we don't like it. We're probably going to see a rematch. Probably go in Hell in a Cell. Tornado tag. And unfortunately, that's probably how the cookie crumbles. And right now, I'm stuck on a screen. I can't get back to where I want to be. There we go. Well, I'm trying to read how the matches broke down so we can read them in somewhat order because I didn't write this down for whatever reason, which I should have. Then we went into.
Hey, it was actually just nice to see you actually watch a pay-per-view, not do other things before you we start setting this up.
Well, at least I was interested somewhat.
Yes, that's
unfortunately, there was something that we've been watching and we'll continue to watch for at least 2 more weeks that has been very difficult. It's going to be okay. We will survive. I'm a survivor.
I can't believe I paid for that stuff.
Well, sometimes we do things. Anyways, the next match was Bayley's match, which was supposed to be against.
It was supposed to be against Nikki Cross, but apparently at some point she got injured.
Yes.
Between SmackDown and tonight.
Yeah, some reason she isn't medically cleared, is the reports I'm getting. So Bayley comes to the ring. She opens a open challenge. She goes, ding dong, nobody's here. Come in here, ref rings my hand. It's over. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, because I guess WWE didn't have any other females in the building at this time, they brought Asuka back out to have a match with Bayley, which was totally pointless. This match did not need to happen. This match didn't need to go down. The whole purpose of this match was to set up so Sasha Banks could come out of the blue and whack Bayley with the chair. And this is where it breaks down. So, let's see, what was it? Bayley got disqualified by using a chair outside the ring. She hit Asuka with the chair. Ding, ding, ding. She got disqualified, but she retained her title. She picked up her title, was walking out. And out of nowhere, out of the timekeeper's area, I'm sure she was hiding behind the wall. Sasha Banks walks out, whacks Bayley across the back of the, whacks Bayley with the chair across her back. Bayley falls down. Bayley's laying there on the ground, and Sasha Banks is just staring at her. I'm going, yeah. Why aren't you beating this nut out of her? She's beaten you last several times with the chair unmercifully. No care in the world. And you go whack and just stand there like, yeah, no.
Now, granted, I mean, the whole time she's also holding her neck. But still, it's like, if you want revenge, why aren't you taking it? The opportunity's right there.
I get that she's hurt and she may not move slow, but I mean, she should still be acting out in some way. Maybe the chair's out of the way, get the kendo stick. I mean, we saw her a little bit with the kendo stick towards the end as they were wrapping that up, but it was still kind of like, nah. And I'm not excited because I feel like what they're doing is setting us up for Bayley and Sasha Banks at Hell in a Cell. And I'm just hoping that this isn't like what's being said, what's being reported, and take it all with a grain of salt because it's just what's being reported and what we're hearing. And as much as you can and I can and he can, we can all read the news and the reports and we can find stuff that says whatever it is. But right now they're talking that maybe they're going to give Sasha the title at Hell in a Cell. Now, Bayley's held the women's championship for SmackDown for an
Almost a
excessively long time. So I know they brought that up. So you're kind of like, But I don't want Sasha to win. I mean, I love Sasha. I want to see Sasha Banks as the boss with the women's championship. Yes, it's just not now. Just not at Hell in a Cell. It's not the right place. It doesn't, like, because all I can think of is you have Sasha win at Hell in a Cell, and then you have Bayley and her refeud back at, Survivor Series maybe? But that's usually where they face the women of the opposite brand, which was Asuka, which we saw tonight, so that hurts that. But unless they do another women's evolution in late October, I don't know. I think it's better that you don't because you could have Bayley win at Hell in a Cell and drop it at the next pay-per-view, the Bayley, and continue the storyline that she can't defend the belt at the big event. But I think that's stupid. I think the storyline is that you take Sasha out on kayfabe injury, and you don't bring her back to the Rumble, and then she wins the Royal Rumble. Because I mean, have the match at Hell in a Cell, but it needs to be Bayley. Just needs to go Bayley Zilla or something.
Oh, it's okay.
No, Bayley just needs to go nuts in that match and just beat her from end to end on the cage. Just she's got to break Sasha in some form or another. I don't know how she does that. I don't know if there's a move where they're climbing up the cage and she throws her off. She falls to the announce table and maybe not from the top of the cage.
Well, you're going to all these extremes. It's like she's a 100+ pound woman. Like, come on now.
Yeah, but
you don't want to break her for real.
But wasn't she in the Hell in a Cell before with Charlotte or something? I forget. They did have that one. Yeah, and I think Sasha's capable, but I need something that's like that. I liked the pre-end of the storyline that she was going to be so injured that she had to retire. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the storyline that I would really support, is that Sasha Banks is so injured that she has to retire, and then Bayley gets to chant and walk around for the rest of the year until, the Royal Rumble. Oh, I retired Sasha. I got rid of her. Who's next? She can keep just going through. Yeah. She could be the female version of the Legend Killer in a way. She may not be killing legends, but she can just be that dominant.
Just going through people.
She needs to get everybody fed through her and take them out and kind of be the brutal Bayley that has been here. She figured out, I can take them out this way. This is her new kind of way. She's going to beat everybody just down. And then Royal Rumble comes, Women's Rumble's going on, number 29, number 30, and the boss music plays. Here comes Sasha Banks down. She wins the Rumble, and now Bayley's like, "What? No, you're supposed to be done." And it can be like, "No,
you want Asuka, you want the Raw champion."
Yeah. And then she can go and face Bayley at WrestleMania, and that's where it needs to be done. That's the big event, to see this match that we've all been waiting for a long time, because we knew it was all coming. We've been waiting years for them to have what they had in NXT on the main roster. Mm-hmm. And we thought they were going to give it to us in the beginning. Then they made them the women's champions. And then they both kind of had their issues with Raw. And so they went away for a little bit because they were both mad that they had to give out the titles to Peyton Royce and Billie Kay at that time. Mm-hmm. At WrestleMania. And then they brought them back, got them back with the titles. And, the Freaks has always been there, so we've always been waiting for the trigger to pull. And so if you're going to pull the trigger at this point, the only way that this is ever going to work good. I mean, you could do it, Vince. You could sell it the way you want to sell it.
And you're going to
Hell in the Cell. Sasha wins the title. Sasha can't defend the title, which I think is getting tiring storyline. Or you have Sasha end that thing and win twice in a row and not let Bayley have her. I mean, it doesn't make logical sense. I think the logical story is you take Sasha out completely, have her go away. Royal Rumble, women's number, beat, and then you have a great match going into WrestleMania. Where we hopefully have an audience again this year. So that was that. It was a waste of a match, but I don't think they had any other women.
I don't think it was so much. I mean, from our perspective, it was a waste of a match, but I mean, for them, it was filling time.
Yeah, no, I mean, they were filling time, yes. But again, to me, it was absolutely pointless. But I think the only reason it was Asuka, they probably don't have any other women because of the current times. They probably don't have that many people there, and they probably didn't have any other women in the locker room to fill that spot. Now, it could have been fun, and they could have sent Selena Vega out there like, I couldn't win the Raw Championship, I got to go after this one. But doing a heel versus heel, it's not the same. So.
Yeah, that's definitely set up differently.
So that took us into the match that was another one that was kind of disappointing. and that's kind of why I started setting up at this time. We had the ambulance match for the WWE Championship against Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. And the reason I say this is disappointing because we talked about this a little bit, but they really kind of weakened Drew McIntyre here because in the beginning of the show we started going back and forth. Orton was going for what I believe was a punt and suddenly was stopped by the Big Show. And the Big Show chokeslammed him through the announce table. Then they went fighting back and forth, back and forth. They were fighting some more. They wound up in the back area, and out of nowhere came Christian. Then they fought out to the front. They got back around to the ambulance. They got on top of the ambulance, and out of nowhere, Orton gets some sweet chin music by the Heartbreak Kid himself, Shawn Michaels. And as a diehard Shawn Michaels fan, yes, I love to see Shawn Michaels on TV, but even in this point, it was kind of, why? I mean, I get it's all the guys coming back to get redemption on Randy Orton, but it hurt Drew McIntyre in this thing because it's like he had 3 other people help him beat Orton. So now Orton gets to come back, and now what? We're going to get a Hell in a Cell, or Orton's like, which if we go for a third match, then you have to start saying that Orton might just win the title.
See, the thing is, it's like we already said, it hurts Drew McIntyre's image. Like, he couldn't defend the title on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Had this been, like, on Monday Night Raw, a vignette of them 3 attacking Orton, that would have been one thing. And then, by the way, at the end, we have Ric Flair driving the ambulance.
Yeah, and I was going to get to that because at the end there, Orton almost had Drew McIntyre in the ambulance. He had the hands on the door. He pushed it back open. And then he punt kicked Orton and slammed the ambulance doors shut. Heck, at one point, the door to the ambulance had gotten a claymore and got knocked off the hinges. But at the end, good old woo! Nature Boy Ric Flair was there to drive the ambulance away and take Randy Orton out like the garbage he was in this match. And that was that. And it was very, and it was kind of disappointing. I think there was too many pop-ins. I get the pop-ins in the idea, but I think it was bad timing. I mean, these two just need to beat the snot out of each other. Mm-hmm. And I kept thinking, well, maybe they'll do something with Brock Lesnar to come out and attack Drew McIntyre again. I knew somebody was going to pop out sometime. I just didn't expect the way it did. It threw me off because I'm like, oh, somebody's going to be in the ambulance and break out the doors. I'm like, watch it be Brock or something, you know. Mm-hmm. And then to have the Big Show show up, Christian show up, Shawn Michaels show up. I'm like, I get it, but it was just like, no, it didn't really do anything to help the match. It didn't do anything other than the only thing it did is continue the storyline so Randy Orton has grounds for another match. And I don't want to see it.
That probably was the point.
No, and I'm sure, but if there's 3 matches, I just don't see Drew winning 3. I mean, I want Drew to win the 3rd one. I want Drew to stay with the title, but I don't see Drew winning 3. I don't see Randy Orton in 3 pay-per-view matches losing to Drew McIntyre. It would hurt Randy Orton a little bit. It would take some of that steam off of being this bad guy. He just can't get past Drew McIntyre, like he can't figure it out. Especially now that they weakened Drew McIntyre with the extra help. So it worries me because I'm kind of like, hey, I'm over it. That's for sure. It's kind of like, okay, cool. Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, they had a great match. You know, at the last event, this match wasn't as great. But it's been a great storyline. It's been a great, you know, it's been good in that sense. But I'm like, I'm done. Orton doesn't need to be champion. There's nothing that I can see Orton with the champion doing. I mean, even if they're trying to set up Edge and him for the world title at WrestleMania, it's kind of like, why does Edge need the world title again? I mean, I know he retired with the world championship, and that's the big goal, the big world championship, and not the WWE championship. But I don't see, like, if Orton wins this, you know Edge is going to win it at WrestleMania. And I get coming full circle and trying to give him a here you go, thank you, but it's kind of like nothing against Edge. I love Adam Copeland. And so glad that he's able to be back, and I don't know how long he's really going to be back, nor do I know how long he needs to be back, per se, because I like the redemption story, the idea that he's come back. He's been able to come back and do his thing, but it's a little past the time of Edge now. There's new guys there, and it's like there's nothing much Edge can do but put other guys over. Yeah, he can have some great moments, but I don't see him like getting the world title.
At best, he should be a special attraction.
Exactly. I just don't see him as a title holder where he has to defend his title And then I know it's going to be a very short-term thing because they're going to want to get it off and to get it to somebody else for whatever reason. So it's like to go from Orton to Edge, because that's what it would be. Because we know if they're going to Rumble with Orton and Edge again, Edge is probably going, I would say 90% Edge. If the title's involved, I would say Edge is going to win.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
So, I don't know. I think we're heading to another match at Hell in a Cell. Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton in Hell in a Cell. Hopefully this year at Hell in a Cell we won't hear, it has to be Kane! It has to be Kane! Anyways, the match of the night and the match everybody was talking about, the Universal Championship match, Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, the Tribal Chief.
Say my name, say my name.
Say my name. No, it wasn't say my name. It was call me your...
Tribal Chief.
No, it was call me your daddy. Was the whole theory behind that.
For all intents and purposes.
Yes, call me Chief. Call me the Tribal Chief. Tell me I sit at the head of the tape. This match was very slow when going, and it built to the principle of what it was at this time. But it I'm still a little disappointed. And I mean, it was an okay match. There was the moments. Jay got his few upcomings, and then I just wanted to see a little more viciousness out of Roman. I know he got to that point like, call me Tribal Chief, and of course Jay would be defiant, wouldn't do it.
Well, here's the thing. Let's kind of back up a little bit. Because in the beginning, he was playing it like, yes, I'm beating your ass, but I'm trying to give you a chance to just take that payday. Instead of, like, you know, they slowly built where it's like, he still had, even though Roman was playing heel, he still had a little bit of honor because this is family.
Yeah, well, he did say at one point, I love this guy, and then he was telling him, lay down, take the payday, you should just lay down, I won't have, you know, we'll call this the ass beating. So there was a lot of great storytelling in this match. I don't think it was one of the better matches, but there was a lot of great storytelling in it. And it built up that way, and then we got to the end, and then it was no longer about the title or the match, it was about...
I am the Tribal Chief.
I'm the Tribal Chief, and he was going to make Jay call him the Tribal Chief, and Jay, being defiant, said, no, I'm not going to call you that, which brought Jimmy into the picture. Jimmy came down with a towel, and he's telling Jay, I'm going to throw in the towel, and they bickered back and forth, don't throw in the towel, no, I'm going to throw in the towel, don't throw in the towel. And then Roman looked down at him and told Jimmy, you call me Tribal Chief, then you get in here and call me Tribal Chief. Both were being kind of defiant at that point, and then Roman just started wailing down. I wish it would have been a little more. I think a little colder would have helped it out. Yes, I know you think I'm going a little more extreme, but I wanted to see a little more of a mean streak and all that. But in the end, Jimmy threw in the towel for Jay, and then he crawled in the ring and said, "You're the Tribal Chief." He gave in.
You got what you want, Oos.
Yeah, you got what you want. You're the Tribal Chief. Now chill. So, I don't know. I didn't like the towel aspect of it. I
agree with you, and that's only because, okay, so Jimmy throws in the towel, but that didn't come from Jay.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there was nothing in the stipulations about, you know, a towel.
No, and it's been so long since we've had a throw in the towel match. I don't know how many people really understand that rule. I mean, if you're a casual fan that's just coming in and you've only watched WWE, there hasn't been a towel match or a towel throw in.
Since the 90s?
I think so. I would have to go way back. I think in the Attitude Era at some point. And there might have been one with John Cena and something thrown in the towel in the early or mid 2000s or something. I don't know. It's been a while since I know there's been a towel, so most people might not get that idea of like throw in the towel.
I mean, the last technical towel match we saw would have been AEW with Moxley and Brian Cage.
Yeah. But I didn't like the towel. That was one thing. I think if Roman would have knocked out Jay, and then Jimmy slide in like, okay, Oos, you're Tribal Chief, like, you know.
And even then, it still would have been winner by knockout. So,
but I
would have been cool with that.
Yeah. Well, if the referee would have called the match, then I think that would have been okay. Especially since the fact that Roman was even like, you stop. I mean, he was going even after the referee, like, you stop telling me what to do. I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
Work.
So if he would have just put Jimmy in that point where the ref had to call the match, that would have put more heat back on Roman too, because Roman could look at the ref like, "What you doing?" You know, and kind of had a moment with the ref like, "You don't, whatever." And then he could have turned around and acted like he was going to go back after Jay, which would have given Jimmy the opportunity to slide and go, "Look, Oos, you're the tribal chief. You're the tribal chief." So Jimmy did call him the tribal chief, gave Roman what he wanted, and then Roman told Paul to go do something, and then Paul Heyman came back with the ceremonial lay, and I guess
Jimmy had come out with.
yeah, and I guess called him the tribal chief. So,
That was kind of funny earlier in the match, though. Paul Heyman had no problem calling him the tribal chief. Like,
that was the best part right there. Call me the tribal chief. Call me the tribal chief. Paul Heyman outside the ring. You are my tribal chief. You are blah blah blah. And Roman Reigns looks at him like,
I don't need to hear from you. I need to hear from him.
"Who are you, Oos? Who are you? I don't want to know you. I don't care if you think I'm your tribal chief. I need to hear it from him." It solidified Roman in that role, but it was hilarious that Paul Heyman. I love Paul Heyman. He is simply entertaining when he's on, and he's great when he's great. But personally, I know a lot of people have different issues with him because of a lot of stuff that happened in ECW and the way he went about doing business. And I think if you know Paul Heyman, you know that he does his things his way, and he's going to get. And he was a mastermind and knew how to get whatever he wanted out of anybody, and he would do it by any means necessary to make a program great, and created a level of a wrestling program called ECW that still lives on by name today.
No one has ever doubted his talent. No one has
No.
ever talked smack about what he can do. Now, as a businessman, that's another story.
So it was great. Paul Heyman does a great job. We ended with the pay-per-view with Roman Reigns being the tribal chief. Where do we go
With
from
his
here?
universal title in one hand and the lay around.
The tribal chief crowning, pretty much.
Yeah.
So the thing I look at now is storyline-wise, where do we go from here? What is next? And how do we continue from here? Because we know that Bray Wyatt's owed a rematch for one. That's got to be a fact. Now, people can say Braun Strowman's had a rematch, but he really got his rematch at Payback and the three-way dance, and now he's kind of been shuffled off the Raw on the Underground. So I don't know where they're going to go with him. He doesn't seem to be like he lost his title, lost in the triple threat match, and now he's on Raw Underground. So.
To be rebuilt, I guess. He did beat Dabba-Kato, so.
Yeah. So there's that. So Bray Wyatt, we know he's owed his rematch, but I don't know. Yes, you can have the Fiend come out and come after Roman and start the feud back up, but I'm like, after the night where the tribal chief, I'm like, I think Jay wants some redemption because Jay didn't call him the tribal chief. Jay didn't give up. Jay didn't submit. Jay didn't get pinned. So I'm like, Jay needs to come back and be like, this didn't happen, and Jimmy can try to come in and be the middle ground person, but then Roman
Jimmy
would
meant
probably
well, but it's not what Jay said. It's not what Jay did. And,
So there's only one of two ways it's going to go. Either we're going to find out Jimmy's going to side with Roman because he gave in kind of easily. Like he was willing to submit, and I get it. You're trying to save your brother, so I mean, the logical explanation made sense. So that was very good. But where do we go from here? Do you put Roman with the Fiend when you have a great storyline that I don't think is completely closed per se?
I think they are going to continue with the current storyline.
I hope so.
I think that because it's now I don't want to say it doesn't make sense because we can say that there's a lot of things that WWE does that doesn't make sense. So that's almost a null point.
You know what? Maybe you take Roman and put him in Hell in a Cell against Jimmy and Jay.
That's a possibility.
Because then in that,
here's the thing: is Jimmy ready to come back yet? Because even though he quote unquote ran down the aisle, he was still hobbling.
Well, we still got 30 days, so we could see.
True.
We still got 30 days, and again, maybe they can fit him in there, but take him out right away.
That or put him in the corner, or there's a couple different things they could do.
Well, I mean, if you do a Hell in a Cell, that's it. But I think that would be my thinking about it. Why not put Roman against both of them at this point? You have Roman, you have Jay come out next on Friday and say you didn't beat me and start this shit up, and Jimmy tried to play mediator, and then maybe because of Jay, Roman goes, all right, you know what? You and your brother are both going to get this beaten. Hell in a Cell. So then you cause a little friction between Jimmy and Jay because Jay, is forcing the hand, and Jimmy's trying to protect his brother and keep be, the mediator, be Switzerland, whatever you want to call him, trying to be the neutral party and all that. He gets dragged in a match with Roman, and you can take Jimmy out in the beginning, and then have the beat down to Jay, and then you could almost have them like become subservient to him, because I know they've talked about them falling in line and creating this new dynasty
And doing the bloodline gimmick again.
So I could see them like after they're finally beat down, they're like, okay, finally submitting into you're the tribal chief. I just know that you've got to get somewhere. If Rock's down, if Rock's come out and said I want to face Roman, or I'm willing to face Roman at WrestleMania, Vince isn't passing that by. Vince knows that's a huge payday.
I don't know what kind of crack Vince would have to be on to pass that up.
So you got to know that he's going to be all over that like white on rice, for one. And so the thing is, how do you write that story? Because, yeah, you could say he goes fight the Fiend in WrestleMania. He's just here to get, to prove himself and get Roman. But, I think you continue the storyline in and through next year, and I think you can bring all the family members. I've said this before. I think it's a great storyline. I think you bring in all the family members.
I think we went through this on the predictions video.
So I think that's, you stay on the current storyline, and that hurts. I feel kind of bad because I like to see Bray Wyatt and the Fiend, but I think there's other things you can do with the Fiend, as far as like building the Fiend back up, getting his alliances, continuing the storyline with the likes of Bliss, because right now they don't have to do anything, and we're still getting a bit of our Fiend because we're watching Alexa Bliss and watching her slow change here, which I think is good. So, he lets in Alexa Bliss. Now you got the Fiend and Alexa Bliss. And you let this slow burn happen, and you kind of put the Fiend on the back burner or put him in with something else. I don't know where exactly. Hell, I'd like to see Jeff Hardy go out against the Fiend now and have the Fiend, do to him like the Fiend's done to everybody else. Anytime the Fiend's touched somebody, they've changed, quote unquote, in storyline. Because Jeff Hardy's talking about trying to bring the Willow character, which is a great character. If you watch any of it in TNA, it was a great character. And I love to see that feud for a little while. So, you draft. How do you do that? Draft's coming up October 9th. And
9th on SmackDown.
12th, I think it would be.
On Raw, yes.
So, yeah, you have Jeff Hardy drafted to SmackDown, and then you have Jeff Hardy come out in this thing when he's being drafted, like, hey, I'm here, I'm so glad to be on SmackDown. And then, bam, there's the Fiend.
He is on SmackDown.
He is in SmackDown. Okay, I'm thinking he's on Raw for some reason. Yeah, he's already on SmackDown. So, yeah, I don't know why I'm trying to draft him back to SmackDown. I guess he's lost the Intercontinental title, which is good.
Yes.
So that means he can move on to something else, and I think he can move on to this. And then you have the Fiend take out Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy disappears and gets back as Willow, or whatever variation name the WWE will give it. I don't know.
It's Reed!
It's Reed. Oh my Jesus. The many faces of Jeff Hardy, And Jeff just re-signed his contract with WWE, so I'm sure in the negotiations with that, because they did not want him going to AEW, and they knew that if they didn't re-sign him, he was going to AEW. So I'm sure he probably pushed for that in some type of agreement. So I'm
he was smart. He definitely did, because he definitely had to have leverage.
I'm excited to see that. So I think you put Bray Wyatt on the burner. You continue with the family, and maybe you make Jay and Jimmy fall in line, and they're serving under the tribal chief. Maybe not as willing participants, which is okay.
Yeah, we've seen things like that before happen.
So, you could do that, and then eventually it's like Roman's going to have to run in the Rock, like, you're not the tribal chief, you're not the head of this table, you know who's been providing for this table. And the comments and the promos that are going to come down from these two is going to be awesome, and that's where we need to head. Fill in with some people, I don't know who you really fill in with in term, like Jimmy and Jay, you get through Hell in a Cell with Jimmy and Jay, you get to Survivor Series. It's SmackDown versus Raw traditionally, so you're going to do the Universal Champion against the World Champion, so you could do a Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre at that time, which may not mean, because then it depends on how they do it, so that could be key.
Or you just have two, Raw has their match and SmackDown has their match.
And then you don't have to have them defended at the December pay-per-view. You could highlight the WWE Championship, keep the Universal Champion off of it, have Rumble, and feed him somebody at Rumble. I don't know who exactly, but you could find somebody to feed him at that moment. And then after Rumble, The Rock's back, and The Rock's like, "This is gonna stop. You're not the master." And then you got WrestleMania.
Off to races you are.
Yep. So, anyways, with that said, the pay-per-view overall was okay. And there was really just the two matches that I think did anything. They opened the show right with the ladder match.
I agree with that.
And it got its point across, and Sami Zayn won. And then you had the Roman Reigns Jey Uso match, which did what it did. I don't think it was perfect. I didn't like the ending, but I think those were the two matches that made the night. Everything else was just filler in the pie to get us from the beginning of the show to the end of the show, because there wasn't much to... No surprises, no shocks, no anything, no major anything in any of that.
And, for a pay-per-view like this, there didn't need to be.
No.
Sometimes predictability is fine, as long as you keep the storyline going.
Yeah.
Keep it interesting.
Well, unless you keep the same people fighting one another for the umpteenth time.
Again, those sometimes bits of the undercard are not your draw, so they're not going to produce it the same way.
That makes like 3/4 of WWE's stars mid-card and unimportant right now. But that's not any wrestlers. Like, I will tell you straight up, there is not a wrestler in WWE right now that I would say, well, there might be a few I might say that should be held accountable because they're not A, trying, or B, they're just collecting their paycheck. I mean, granted, I know there's wrestlers like that, but I mean, a lot of them, they're not bad wrestlers, they're not bad talent, they have amazing talent and have the capabilities of having great things, but WWE just doesn't have anything for them to do or doesn't know how to present them or write the stories for them. I mean, Angel Garza, Andrade are amazing. The Street Profits are amazing. I think, they're not writing their story fairly or letting these guys get around. And of course, they don't have enough tag teams right now, so that hurts. Who else is on the show? I mean, you have Hurt Business. There's a great storyline there, but they kind of were pushing Apollo Crews, and then they killed Apollo Crews. Aleister Black, they haven't really done great with either, not because he doesn't have the capability or have a great gimmick, a great character, a great everything.
They just haven't pushed him right.
Kevin Owens kind of does this up and down thing.
They're using him as a utility player, obviously, just based on the results.
Yeah. So, it is what it is, and so that is that. We will be reconvening again. Probably not. I don't know if it'll be in person or if it'll be over a video chat. But we have another. United Wrestling Network episode number 3 to try and choke down and get through. And we have it's Aaron Stevens and Trevor Murdoch
for the NWA National Championship.
Yep. So that goes down on Tuesday on the United Wrestling Network's pay-per-view event, Prime Time Live, episode 3, and we will watch that sometime after either the day of or shortly thereafter, and we will give you another review because that's what we told you we were going to do. We're going to watch the first 4 episodes. After that, I can't promise you anything.
How many times? I just want to tap out.
No, you can't. I'm not throwing in the. Don't throw in the towel. Don't do it. Don't let him win. It could be worse. It could be old. What was it? UPW with Herb and the whole mess of all the. Yeah.
Don't want that side promotion that was briefly joined with early TNA.
I don't. I think so. I think it was
Herb Sadler, whatever.
I don't know. Well, he had UPW or whatever, where he brought all the old wrestlers back, and then he got. Go watch that. Are you watching Dark Side of the Ring ever?
I haven't had the chance.
Oh, you need to go watch all the Dark Sides of the Ring. There's 2 seasons at least. Heard there's a 3 season. Look it up on YouTube. It is there. The Dark Side of the Ring series is amazing. It gives a lot of inner details from an outside perspective about a lot of the stuff that's going on.
I think the last time I didn't watch it directly. I watched Steven Larson and some of the others talk about the Chris Benoit episode.
Yeah, they got really. It's a 2-parter for the Chris Benoit, but they do.
No, actually, I actually did watch. I did find it on YouTube, both parts. That's right.
Yeah, they're on there. Everything up there until the 3rd season. They talk about Owen Hart's tragic death, and they let his wife speak, whose name is slipping my mind right now. Martha.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because Diana was with the British
Or the
Bulldog.
Bulldog. So Martha comes out and talks about it. They talk to Owen's kids about everything, and so you learn a little bit of why he's not in the WWE Hall of Fame. So that was you got to go watch that for that. They talk about the Road Warriors and their story. That was a great one. They talk about the death of Dino Bravo,
I know who he is, but
the murder of him, pretty much. They talk about Jimmy Snuka and his legal situation. They had the Chris Benoit story. They talk about the death of Miss Elizabeth. Who else? I mean, there's several really great. They talk about the story behind the Fabulous Moolah. So really, it's an eye opener.
Some of those I just haven't watched because it's been talked about online for so much by the dirt sheets, by some of the people who should be in the know.
Well, but you got to watch them for yourself to get the whole perspective. I think they're really good. They're really interesting. They started the third season. They talk about Gino was one. I don't know what the other one is because I haven't found them yet. So it's real interesting. Another great one. I don't know. Have you watched Resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts?
I have not had that.
Oh, you got to go watch that. That is like Jake the Snake Roberts was a childhood idol of mine. I mean, I loved Jake the Snake until he turned heel and had Cobra Bite Macho Man. I mean,
that just scared me.
As
You know what scared me was Jake and Undertaker working together.
yeah. Oh yeah, that was scary. And then doing all the stuff with the Warrior and Papa Shango got involved and all that stuff. No, you got to go watch Resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts because being a kid and respecting Jake the Snake Roberts and seeing how many times he came back and all the demons and knowing that he's just had a hard time. And then
I've read about a lot of this, but I haven't seen that specific.
Oh yeah, it's a great put together documentary. It's outside of WWE. They do use WWE footage and information.
I'm sure they had to pay for that.
They do their I mean, it was DVP, and I think this was right. Well, this was in line when they got Jake and Scott into the Hall of Fame. So I'm sure there was some collaboration in there. But it's a great watch, and it also shows you the road that he took to really become the person he is today. It brings you in to see Scott Hall, and it sees these guys that we've fallen in love with as kids that were like, no, we don't want to see you go. And
we
it
don't
was
want
really
to
awesome.
see you die.
Yes.
Please don't die.
It was really, really awesome. So it's been really, really good to watch all that.
Okay, so while we're on the topic of wrestling documentaries, is The Undertaker The Last Call as good as a lot of people are saying it is?
Do what?
Undertaker The Last Call. The documentary on, or Last Ride, excuse me, not Last Call, Last
There
Ride.
we go. Okay. Yeah. No, I think all the stuff about the Undertaker because it takes that spin of here's the Undertaker we know, and now we get to meet the Undertaker.
Mark Calloway.
We get to meet Mark Calloway, and you get to see the other side of him. He becomes human again.
And not just as an American badass?
No, he becomes human, and you just gain a lot of respect. You gain more respect for him, and you make a deeper connection than him just being the Undertaker, just the man, the myth, the legend, and all the stuff that goes into that, and knowing that he did everything he was supposed to maintain that character and all the lengths he went to do that. And it's awesome. It really is. To watch it, I think it's all really good. You can watch Stone Cold. It's a Broken Skull Ranch with him and Taker talking, and it's entertaining. You hear stories about some of the stuff and other stories. So yeah, no, it's a great watch. It really is. It really is a great watch. It's better one of the documentaries. A lot of the documentaries on the WWE Network that are there are awesome. I mean, hearing about the story about DDP and how he came into wrestling and being under the tutelage tree of Dusty Rhodes and Jake the Snake Roberts, that these are the two men that he says pretty much made DDP, and that's an awesome tree to sit under. Imagine it's under the tree of Dusty Rhodes and Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah.
The CM Punk's story on there has always been one of my favorites because you just get to see Punk.
Is that the one back when Punk was still a part of WWE where he said, this is CM Punk the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I saw that.
That's a really good one. There's a lot on there. They do a really good job on that. WWE does a really good job in the documentaries and putting them together. And there's some of the shorter ones, like they do the one for Nigel McGuinness, which is really good. It tells his story and why he can't wrestle anymore, and where he came from. And there's so many on there that are so just awesome and just incredible. And now the shorter ones that they're putting on there, the 24/7 or the 24-hour thing for WrestleMania.
Yes, I think it's called WWE 24.
Yes, with Drew McIntyre talking about his story and his rise. It's a part of that.
Yeah, I really like
they do a lot of good stuff on the other end. Their original content. They have a lot of great stuff. So
and I really liked the Jey Uso. I
Mhm.
just had the name of it. Chronicles.
Yes.
That's what it's called.
So it's definitely worth the watch. Totally worth the watch. So you need to check out some of that. If you have the WWE Network, it's great. If you don't have the WWE Network, I would say get it at the price that it is, $9.99. It's not bad because you get everything. You may not get current TV shows, but you're going to get all the past shows.
Okay, so you get NXT maybe a day late.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get Raw and SmackDown like for a month back.
Yeah.
But you get the pay-per-views, you get all the original.
You're getting all your pay-per-views, and not just the pay-per-views are coming out, but you got every pay-per-view that's ever happened in the company. WCW and ECW. Now they also have Evolve on there. They have some of the other federations. They have WCCW, USWA. I know they have prime times. They have the Tuesday night live things. They have the Saturday night live from WCW. They have the old Nitro, the old Nitro shows, the old Thunder shows.
Saturday night.
They have main event. There's just so much content that you can get on the WWE Network for $10 a month. It's totally worth it. I mean, you're paying $10 for a pay-per-view. In our day and age, we could only dreamed about paying $10 for a pay-per-view.
30 to 50, depending upon if you're doing satellite or cable.
And I mean, I don't know how many times we had to get together and put money together, watch a couple of pay-per-views because we did. I mean, we were diehard fans, so we were together as many Monday nights as we could, and we lived and we breathed and we talked wrestling, and so.
Man, if we had YouTube back then.
Oh yeah, it would be a whole different era.
We'd be veterans by now.
We would be running the IWC, that's for sure, if they only knew. But anyways, we are like 41 minutes into this. We've talked about Clash of Champions. It was an overall decent pay-per-view. I won't complain too harsh on it. Interesting to see where the Roman Reigns storyline goes. I hope they continue it. I hope they don't just switch us up to The Fiend. Nothing against Bray Wyatt. I love Bray Wyatt. I want to see him up there, but I need to see a rebirth of Bray Wyatt right now.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre, it looks like probably another Randy Orton match, from what I'm going to
Just what it looks
guess.
like, yeah.
Overall, Bayley and Sasha Banks continued their storyline. Everything else was just kind of hit or miss.
Obviously, at some point, they're going to put Nikki Cross in there again.
Well,
just for filler.
She's definitely needs her. Well, she was injured for whatever reason, not medically cleared, so she may come back. And hopefully, what they'll do is just put her in the match at Hell in a Cell and just have a normal match. Maybe they'll have Bayley get taken out in between here and there. I don't know. We'll see. I just don't think it's the right time, right place for that. For Sasha and Bayley yet. Like I said, my storyline is the one I think they should go for, but we will wait and see. The WWE Network does have the Stone Cold Broken Records. The Broken Skull sessions this week after the pay-per-view was Stone Cold talking to Kurt Angle. And the Broken Skull Ranch conversations are really good because you get to learn about the wrestlers. You get to see him more as a human than the characters, and it's kind of cool to hear some
just the WWE
stories.
version of his podcast.
No, well, yeah, but Austin still has control and does what he wants to do.
I would say more control, but he doesn't have complete control. I'd say they've got a really long leash on him.
Yes. So.
But they still want to own the IP.
Yes, exactly. Well, and you hear WWE's coming out with their own wine. So, more on that next time. But till then, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give us that big thumbs up. Ring that bell so you're notified every time we post a video or come on live right here on YouTube. This has been the Value of Wrestling podcast. We hope we brought you the very best and the very best value for your wrestling experience right here. This is my tag team partner.
Paulus Clark.
I'm the big time BT Baldwin, and we're signing out. So, good night. Maybe in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that is it.